The first most important thing is you really want to define the type of people you want in your organization. More than anything, doing it right at the beginning and literally putting it on paper, like literally, these are the types of people I want them to have these values, and I want them to care about this. I don't need them to care about that. Putting that on paper is super important, because the way to have a great company is to bring in the right people, and to bring in the right people is to be very specific about it.
Hello. Welcome to another Knowledge Bomb episode of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential and together change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, we have Jamie Krasnov.
And if this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of these amazing episodes. And if you're on iTunes, go ahead and rate the podcast and leave a review. That helps get the word out to great leaders and entrepreneurs like yourself. This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
Houston born and bred, live in the Heights, grew up around the Memorial area. I went to the University of Texas for undergrad, just a few hours away from here, and spent the first 10 years of my career investing roles. The first part of my career was helping companies sell themselves, called investment banking. I did that for a few years. After that, I worked in what's called private equity for about 7 years, actually buying companies and making them better to run. That whole time, it was with one specific intention. When I graduated undergrad, I wanted to buy one business and run it. Just one, not a portfolio, just one business. And each step of the way, those two roles, they were there to help me achieve kind of that goal. And so I had a pretty clear kind of goal in mind. And along those 10 years, I met some people who would want to support me through that financially and operationally. And, they were successful in their own route, both financially and just as operators of companies. And we banded together, and I went to go search for the best company we could find, one that would grow, one that would satisfy customers. And there'd be a lot of customers out there. And we found this amazing business after about a year of searching called Apex Leadership. Just going to shout out the logo right there.
Yeah.
I was a little taller to get a good view of
There
that.
it is.
So found this amazing business, and we bought the business about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm the CEO of that business and owner of that business, along with my investor group, who are other CEOs. And, we've grown it over 100% in the last couple of years. We've added many people, super talented people in a bunch of different roles. And we think we can take this business to the edge. We think we can grow it a lot and put it in a lot of different customers and be a pretty household name. So
what makes your company stand out from all the other companies in your niche?
There's kind of two reasons why Apex is able to stand out, why we're growing the fastest in our industry, taking a lot of share, making a lot of customers really happy, retaining those customers, and so on and so forth. It's really two things. It's both the company and the people involved. So as a company, the customer we serve elementary schools. And we provide a character, leadership, and fitness lesson to elementary schools that results in a fun run. We go into schools, elementary schools, and we put on fun runs. Doesn't sound that crazy, actually requires a lot of scale to do it really well. The bigger you are, the more resources you can bring to that school. And the smaller you are, sometimes it's more challenging to bring a lot of resources. Because we're very large and we have a lot of technology, marketing, and operational resources, we're able to raise more than anybody else in our industry per school. We're able to raise $50,000 per elementary school. So it's a lot of money.
Wow, that's really
Our competitors raise $5,000, $6,000. We raise $50,000. So it's very, very, very compelling. In addition to that, we have great people. And we don't have great people because Apex has been around for 15 years now. We've owned the company for 2 years, and we've brought in some really, really good people, great people. But the majority of people who are at Apex were here before we got here. And the reason why Apex is able to attract those very talented folks is because Apex is a mission-based company. We are an excellent business that is helping communities and providing a ton of value to elementary schools. And it attracts a very specific type of person. It attracts a very specific type of person who's very talented, but will go crazy for this company or whatever mission they're following. So we
Yeah.
attract a very mission-based person who would not do as well at maybe a burger restaurant, no disrespect to burger restaurants, but does really well for our business, pushes it really hard, works very hard for their customers, their staff, all the stakeholders.
This is awesome. What are some of the focus and some of the lessons that you bring into those environments?
So we're focused on really elementary school students right now.
Okay.
And so we're talking about kids between the ages of 5 and 10. And every year we come out with a new theme. And that theme involves character lessons that we're going to teach that year. We've come out with a theme called X Factor before. Our current theme is Power. And for each letter in that day, so P, O, W, E, and R, we have a whole day dedicated to that letter. And that letter for P is proactive. And that letter for O is optimistic. And that letter for W is work it out. And so we're teaching foundational leadership and character lessons to the kids, which we don't think is in elementary school curriculum. We think it should be, but it's not. And so we focus on those lessons. We focus on that foundational kind of character and leadership curriculum. And we get what we teach in schools from the educators. We run a survey to the thousands and thousands of educators out there who need their students to learn specific lessons and specific character and leadership lessons. We take those surveys, we put it into a box, we start highlighting to figure out what the most important lessons are in there, and we put that into our curriculum for the year, and so that we are taking what educators care about, and we're making it pertinent to the time and what's going on in the world at the time. Our program involves each of those letters. So for Power, there's a day for POWER, but our program is more than that. Our program involves us going into an elementary school and doing a pep rally. And I got to tell you, seeing elementary school kids at a pep rally, like a high school almost as pep rally, is insane. They get way more heated, way more excited than any high school out there. And so that's an awesome experience. And we tell them in that pep rally, and we do flips and we do all the things you see in pep rallies. We tell them what we're going to do for the next 2 weeks. It's super exciting, super fun. And then that usually happens on a Monday or Tuesday. And then the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the next Monday, Tuesday, and sometimes even Wednesday, we teach our lessons, POWER. So we go into every single classroom and we visit every single kid and we teach a lesson for 8 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes inside the classroom about being proactive, optimistic, work it out, and the remaining letters of our program. And on that Thursday, we'll have all the kids go out and we'll do a fun run. And what's cool about our business is the kids, we go in there with human beings, we teach these lessons, and we get the kids really excited. The kids then come home, they share those lessons with their parents, the parents get excited. And the parents then log on to our online platform, and we ask them to just share a couple of phone numbers. Share your aunt's phone number, your uncle's phone number, your grandpa's phone number, whoever. And they share those phone numbers or the email addresses. And we then drip campaign, not just the community, but the whole country. The majority of our pledges for our fundraisers take place outside of the state, 70%, whereas most fundraisers are door to door. They take place right inside the community. And those people will pledge based on a number of laps run by their students. And believe it or not, a lot of people will pledge. And the result is once we do our fun run and count the laps, and it's awesome, we then upload those number of laps to our system. People will have pledged per lap. We input those laps and swipe all the credit cards at the same time. And that's what takes our fundraiser from a $5,000 fundraiser to a $50,000 fundraiser.
That is insane.
It's insane. When I heard about this, I was like, this must be in every school. It's not. It's in 3% of schools. And that's why we've invested a ton of money and time and energy to tell our story, because we think if enough people hear our story and we see that happen, schools will join. We are structured as a franchise model. So our franchisees run specific territories. Franchisees will join. Ends up being a big win-win-win.
My goodness, man, that is a knowledge bomb business by itself, man. That is huge. Wow, that's so amazing, man. I'm really thinking, I'm just kind of drawn in on the fact of what you're doing, because that's one of the questions that I was getting ready to ask you earlier. Because when you said elementary school, I'm like, man, how do this get funded? And
Yeah.
And you kind of explain that. Have the funding aspect of it, has it always been like that, or what type of challenges have you guys had in that area? You know, getting to where you are now, or not even where you're going, because I'm pretty sure some things coming, but like from where you are now and where you come from. I mean, what did that journey look like as far as fundraising?
Apex's fundraising per school goes up every year.
Okay.
And the reason it goes up is because we get better and better at this. We get better and better at making it easy to donate. So it's easier to input your phone numbers and then your email addresses, and then it's easier for a donor to input their information and so on and so forth. So we've reduced every year the friction associated with telling the world that little Johnny's school is raising money goes down, and so the fundraise goes up. There was 1 year and really a year and a half where it went down, and that was COVID. So during COVID, we still served schools, but we weren't able to be inside the schools, and that kind of goes into why our business is so unique. Is the reason our business is unique and is able to provide such a high amount of fundraise, and this is actually the same for any company that's trying to fundraise, is we have the perfect combination of folks inside the community, inside the event, rallying people, and the technology to distribute that message. When you have just one or the other, and it could be you're raising money for elementary schools or political campaigns or whatever, it doesn't work very well at all. If you have just technology and you send out a link for whatever, you're raising money for children to read, whatever your cancer, it could be whatever, and you make a link and you send that out to the world, oftentimes you'll only get a couple donations. Nobody will know that that's happened. Once in a while you might get 1 million donations, but oftentimes that doesn't work great. And also, if you're just in person and you go in person and try to raise money from your local community, you're going to raise more, but not that much. It's really the combination of the two. So when we were not allowed to go into schools, we weren't able to provide as much value for the schools. And so the fundraising went down.
Gotcha.
But luckily, we came back from schools, and every year we expect the number to go up and up for our returning schools.
Yeah.
And our business is structured, like I said, as a franchise. So we actually have franchisees in every single market. And our franchisees are able to get paid from schools and provide a profitable business model and still give majority of the funds and lots of funds to schools. And we're able to attract entrepreneurs from, let's say, the corporate life and let them start a business that can be very profitable and very successful and fantastic, but also support their community at the same time. Most people have to pursue a career that is more, financial, career oriented, and they do philanthropy, maybe something else on the side. Apex is kind of a beautiful marriage of the two. You can support your career, support your life, support your family, and help your community at the same time. That's why our franchisees end up very happy. Our franchisees love Apex, and they can build a nice, profitable business model for themselves and support their family at the same time.
Amazing. If there's a listener right now, we're talking some of the best leaders coming from the Lead to Greatness community, and someone say, you know what, man, I'm considering maybe reaching out to become a part of the franchise for Apex. What is the process like in that area?
It's so easy to get started. You go to franchise.apexleadershipco.com. Again, that's franchise.apexleadershipco.com. And you just put in your information, and we'll then start a dialogue with you, tell you more about it. We're looking for people who are a good fit. We want to be a good fit for people and vice versa. And we could take you through our process after that.
What are you looking for?
What are we looking for? We really only need 3 things. And those 3 things are, first, we want somebody to, at the end of the day, we believe if people hear our story, they'll sign up for our business, not just the franchisees, but the school. Yeah. So the first thing we're looking for is that is really the role of a franchisee, is to tell our story. And a big part of that is, can people build relationships with other people so that they will be willing to hear our story? So we look for that. Do you have the ability to build relationships? We also look for people who are able to articulate our value props. That just means they can see what we're doing and see there's a lot of value there. And the last thing is just somebody with grit. And it's not easy in a business like ours where we're trying to get our brand out there. to get
Yeah.
inside your community. And so those are the three things we test, and we test a lot for them. And we look very hard for those things. But if somebody has those things, we would welcome them into our franchise community.
That's good. I'm really liking this.
No one is born. I mean, when I was taking over Apex, and even before that, when I was raising money from the CEOs and so on and so forth, and then when I was leading my team to buy this company and run this company and so on and so forth, I often thought to myself, I wish I was born a good leader. I wish I was born a good leader. I wish I had the natural traits of a great leader. I wish I was more handsome, more charismatic, more gregarious, more everything, and then I'd be a great leader. And if I was only those things, then I would achieve all of my goals and dreams. And as I thought about that more, and that was a challenge for me at the beginning. I wasn't born this way. I don't have these traits. I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. Maybe I'm not the guy. Maybe there's another guy out there. And what I kind of came to realize over months and then years, and hopefully this is helpful for others, is for leadership, and specifically, no one is born the guy. No one is born a great leader. I'm not sure that even some of the traits required for great leadership, you don't experience that as a kid growing up. You weren't born with that. Being gregarious and maybe a little bit more handsome, that's not great leadership, and that's not what it's going to take to lead people. And so what I realized, and that was a big struggle for me to ultimately realize, and what I realized is that great leaders are made. They're not born. They're made. You can turn yourself into a great leader, whether you're currently in a leadership role or not. You can read, educate yourself, and communicate with other people and take yourself to that level. You might be leading one person, you might be leading 0 people, you might be leading 50 people, but there are specific actions you can take in order to improve your leadership capabilities. Leadership is a weird word. It means different things to different people. It means leading people at the end of the day. And so you can take specific actions to be a better leader of people. Those traits are learned. You're not born with those traits. That was a challenge for me to learn. It took me many years to figure that out. But kind of getting through that was a big challenge for me.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Hey, speaking on that, what are some practical leadership strategies, growth tips, tools, advice that you can share with the Lead to Greatness community to help us reach our greatest potential?
So if you are on the cusp of being a great leader, so let's say you're about to be an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur about to lead a team, the first most important thing is you really want to define the type of people you want in your organization. More than anything, doing it right at the beginning and literally putting it on paper, like literally, these are the types of people I want them to have, these values, and I want them to care about this. I don't need them to care about that. Putting that on paper is super important, because the way to have a great company is to bring in the right people, and to bring in the right people is to be very specific about who you're looking for. And then before you do that, though, or even just shortly thereafter, you really want to define your mission, vision, and values. So you want to put those things on paper, because you can pay people and they're going to be motivated. Typically, money is a motivator for some people, but it's not the only motivator, and it will fail eventually. And so what you really want is somebody who aligns with your mission, vision, values. You can get that person to ascribe to those things, and you can get the right person. You put yourself in a really good position to be a great leader.
Knowledge bomb. I love it. I love it. I love it. I have a question though. So that may be a listener right now, like, man, I failed in this area. I didn't do that. I wish I would have known about this, but the time is right now, and they made some decisions that they want to take back. You mentioned something, I wrote it down because I think that's a good first step. Is really what you're saying, identifying what type of people you want. After that first step, I mean, what's other things they can do?
If I can just even rewind before that. So like, you may have made mistakes, and we definitely all have. And you may feel like wherever you're at in life, you might be managing 1,000 people, you might be managing 100,000 people, you might be managing 0 people. But if you're sort of ready to kind of get after something, and go down a new adventure, and it doesn't matter where you are in life, you can do those things. What I've found helpful for myself is for both yourself and your organization, or double click into whatever part of your life, you literally take yourself 36 months from now and you say, what do I want my life to look like? And you wake up from your bed in 36 months and what's going on? Where do you live? Who's next to you? What are you doing when you wake up? So on and so forth. So you put that in your brain and then you write it down. Cool. So you got that on paper. Then you zoom back and you say, okay, in order for that to happen, my business, my relationship, my life, these actions need to happen. So that's the do. I need to do these things. And then you rewind and you say, in order to do those things, I need to feel this way. And here are some actions that take place for me to feel this way. For me, I love to work out. I got to work out or else I'm not going to get there. I got to get 8 hours. It's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
I got to get 8 hours. I got to read. I'm only my best when I'm reading. When I'm not reading and I go through spurts, I'm not my best. So I have some specific things for myself. So your question kind of started with like, hey, I might have made some mistakes. What do I do? Maybe what's my first step? I would just get crystal clear on the vision, then work your way back. And then you can kind of start from there and focus on yourself as much as possible, what it takes to be the best version of yourself so that you can do the things so that you can have that 3-year vision. You know, Apex is such a big opportunity. It's actually like, you know, I told you I was in investing for 10 years prior to this. And even when I was a kid, I remember when I was 13, I bought my first stock. That was like the first time I was like, wow, this investing thing's so interesting. You can like research a company and like why it's going to be successful. And anyways, I've gone through like a lot of companies before, like a lot. And, you know, 90% of the companies, it's going to be tough for them to make it's possible, but it's going to be tough for them to really make a big impact. It's so rare that you really get a company that can literally make a huge impact. I mean, it is just hard to find. Yeah. And even if you find that, the path there feels so distant at times that when you get a chance like that, like you should take a swing and you should try to stay focused on that vision. And even inside Apex, there are so many places we could go. Corporates are a good example of that, but there are a million different things. So right now, I'm just trying to stay as laser focused on Apex as possible. I've been asked to join some boards sometimes or some other organizations. And I do have kind of other parts of my life, obviously, even philanthropically, I try to participate in other things. But project-wise, business-wise, I'm super laser focused on Apex to make sure I get it on the right path so that we can serve every school. If we can serve every school, Apex will be a huge business, which would be great. But we'll also be helping a lot of schools and a lot of entrepreneurs.
And a lot of children. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and even more children. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely, I love it. I love the concept. I love what you're doing. You're making a difference. That's a song, I believe the children are our future, and you're really changing future and changing lives right now. And I really think this is amazing. Even for me, I mean, it was years I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and it changed my life. But prior to that book, back in my 20s, I'm like, man, I wish I would have known this when I was a kid. It would have set me up different. And it's like, the schools didn't set me up for success.
So that is 100% true. We all agree upon that. There are a ton of lessons, financial literacy being one of them, that for some reason aren't in schools. I kind of, before I joined Apex, I was like, well, like I want those in schools too. Then I kind of thought about it and I was like, okay, if I'm a school, just an individual school, if I was the president, maybe I can snap my fingers and make a change. But if I'm the individual school, how do I go about that? Maybe I need to get some games or software or training for my kids, but how do I literally go about that? Let's say I decide how to go about that. That's going to be pretty expensive. And these schools, literally, they only get funding typically to cover their teachers. Yeah. So it's like, even if you were this really great visionary for an individual school, it's like, how do you actually get the funding or resources to execute your plan? You don't. And that's a big reason why our customers our PTA presidents and principals call Apex. They have a vision for their school. They want a new jungle gym. They want an engineering lab. They want a financial literacy program. They want to protect their kids. They want specific software to do around security, whatever the case may be. They want to put up a certain wall to protect their kids. It could be whatever, but they don't have the funding. So they call Apex, and we're able to solve that issue and help the kids at the same time. Big part of our value prop, big part of what makes us feel proud to do what we do.
That's amazing. And you're solving a huge problem, a problem that's people been talking about for the last 15, 20 years. Everyone's been talking about the problem, but you have come with a solution for the problem. So hats off to you, hats off to Apex, hats off to your entire team for everything that you are doing. This is so amazing. If someone wants to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
So depending on kind of, if you're trying to be a franchisee, for example, if you're an entrepreneur, you would go to franchise.apexleadershipco.com. Again, that's franchise.apexleadershipco.com. And if you're a parent or a school wanting to recommend this for your kid, you just go to apexleadershipco.com, and that's apexleadershipco.com. So if you just Google Apex, you can go to our website, learn our story. You can hear a little bit from me if you go through our process. But really, it's the business. It's just, the business is the shining star. I'm just here to kind of be a servant, so to speak, and play my part.
And that's what makes you the leader you are. On behalf of the Lead to Greatness community, I want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us all.
Thank you, Cedric. Appreciate it. I love the podcast. I listened to a bunch of episodes already, and I'll keep listening to it. So I appreciate you having me on.
We want to thank you for joining us today on the Lead to Greatness podcast. So remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace.